Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this hybrid breakfast seminar here from Stockholm. We're streaming it throughout the Nordics. I'm very happy about that. My name is Jesper. I will be your host today. I'm with Columbus and Digital Commerce, and together with me today we have a representative from our partners at commercetools, and we have from our good friends at Normet, who will be speaking later today. So this is one of those events where we'll try to really drill down into the realm of composable commerce. Please ask questions. We want you to go away from today and have a lot of new knowledge and really, as we have stated, demystify what composable commerce is. So for those of you joining on the live stream, please ask questions, use the chat, use the questions tab within the platform. Also for you attending here in Stockholm, please raise your arms and ask questions if there's anything throughout the session. We really like to take those questions and demystify this topic together with you today. So what will we be discussing today and what will we go through? We will take a tour of commercetools Foundry together with Anton from commercetools. We have Øyvind, who will give us a demo of an commercetools accelerator built on and with Foundry. Then we have some insights from Normet. Normet will join the stage and be sharing their story about their choices within composability and how they have approached the digital transformation journey. And then we'll end off with a panel discussion with both commercetools, with the Normet team, and with Øyvind to share some of the insights of working with composability and working with accelerators. So it's a very exciting morning, and I'm very happy to see a lot of people here in Stockholm. And also, I know that we have a lot of people joining on the digital stream. So a very warm welcome to every one of you, and very happy to have you here. Please speak up and participate throughout this day's session. Thank you. So, first up, we have Anton. Please come and join me on stage, Anton. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'll be the one to start. You probably heard different terms of composable commerce, but also Foundry and accelerators. So today I would like to make it a bit easier for you to understand how these all terms work together. So when we talk about partner accelerators, the goal of these solutions is to standardize and take the best practices of our partners into something tangible. If you can call software tangible, I know it's a bit of a stretch, but still, it's all the experiences, best experience of the system integrator put into a code. Let's say it's the difference here is if you would be using a modular home building compared to traditional home building. So with accelerators are those sort of modular home building process. And if you would use the accelerator, you definitely would get faster time to market because they are leveraging a lot of pre-built code and handles a lot of most common commerce scenarios. You can get also specialized solutions because a system integrator can have a deep industry focus on some specific area, so it is much more unique for a customer rather than generic solution. And also the one aspect that I think is most important is reducing the implementation risk, because all the implementations have lots of risk because lots of things need to be changed. So the accelerator's main goal is eliminate common implementation pitfalls through the pre-validated components, proven architecture, and standardized best practices. And we think that our system integrator partners are best positioned to build these accelerators because they sort of can see the commerce as a whole, not as something specific like product companies. That's why we believe they are the best ones to build these. Well, then we come to Foundry. And the Foundry is also a pre-composed solution, but it is designed to streamline the implementation of commercetools portfolio products, meaning that you don't need to take all the products that we have and try to stitch them together. The Foundry helps you to take them as a package and implement them. And the Foundry solution includes store launchpads. These are sort of templates that help you, templates tailored to specific market like B2C or B2B, where you can have a whole package of the of all our products pre-integrated. You also have an AI-powered developer assistant, so it guides you through the whole development process, and you can ask different questions, and also blueprints. So these are step-by-step guides, again, tailored to a specific channel, with solution architectures, project planning, blueprints, and best practices, again, of how to implement commercetools portfolio. And then how it all comes together is with this graph. So on the lower end, you would see the least opinionated are the products, like composable commerce products like we have. Then we move a bit to more opinionated solutions, which are Foundry. Foundry is, again, it's a first step towards pre-composability, let's say. But again, it focuses only on our products. Accelerators is a next step towards the real actual customer project. And with accelerators, SIs combine the commercetools product portfolio, but also other products, and also, as I mentioned before, their own best practices. And then the last piece is, as the most opinionated solution, is the customer project. That's the last step. So as you see, these all solutions are put to work in synergy and help each other move towards faster and better projects. That's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Anton, for that short introduction to what Foundry is and to the pre-composability aspect of things. So what we did here at Columbus is we took Foundry and then we made it, as Anton just stated, more opinionated by building on top of that with the knowledge we already have on composable solutions and working with both best of suite and best of breed platforms. So how can we take Foundry and utilize that as an accelerator that can help our clients to achieve faster time to market, faster time to value, and also get a lot of those pre-configured integrations that you get out of the box from commercetools and really accelerate the value of that platform. So we have built our own accelerator on top of that in order to really showcase the value and showcase how easy it is to get things up and running and bring value and basically just a lot of value to the business. So together with me today, I have Øyvind, who will take us through the journey of building this accelerator and also showcasing and demoing the accelerator. So thank you for joining me, Øyvind, and thanks. Please, the stage is yours.
Excellent. So thanks for having me. As Jesper said, I'm going to talk about how we can do more of the cool stuff, basically, and less of the repetitive groundwork. As Jesper introduced, we have been working with an internal project based on Foundry, and we will demonstrate how you get a lot of power by working with pre-composed solutions. The demo will be of VitalBeat, which is our very own online pharmacy brand, created by AI. So let's start. First off, as all of you know, we are looking at a changing landscape in digital commerce. We have the digital transformation in the retail industry. We need to harness digital technology to create unique, personalized, and good shopping experiences. The consumer and the customer is more empowered than ever. They can go where they want, when they want, to shop what they want at all times. So we have to be competitive. We have to give them the possibility to compare products, reviews, prices in real time across multiple platforms, omnichannel. And we also have to give them responsive and seamless digital shopping experiences. And to be able to deliver on this, we need to move fast and we need to adapt quickly. So how do we do that? Well, we need to move even faster than ever before. We need to get to the market quicker. And we believe that in using technology, we can accelerate the development process while maintaining the high quality. We don't want to deliver poor quality just for the sake of moving fast. So how can we combine those two goals? Foundry, as Anton said, it enables us to rapidly prototype, integrate, and launch e-commerce solutions at a much higher speed than before. And by that, it can help us get to the market, out to the customer much faster. Because that's where you want to be. That's where you want to test ideas, not in a meeting room with your test people. You want to get out to the market, and this helps us do that. But does that mean, I'm a UX designer. Does this mean that all solutions, all sites should look the same, appear the same, act the same way? No. We still need to do design work. We need to focus on the users, the customers' needs, the business needs. We need to focus on the brand. We need to focus on uniqueness of the solutions. So we can't really skip the design work, but maybe we could work a little bit differently. Maybe we could spend time on the things that actually create unique experiences instead of kind of reinventing the wheel of a product list page all the time. We can work more effectively. We can take use of the innovation and the possibilities that these solutions give us and renew our processes. And we've actually been doing that. So, as Anton said, we believe that Foundry really enables rapid prototyping and faster time to market. It allows us to launch quicker. And also, which is really good, is that it's really customizable. It enables us to create unique brand experiences that fit the brand, that fit the business needs, and also fit the user's needs. And obviously, it's really important that it's scalable. It's built for growth and accommodates growing traffic, growing business needs without compromising performance. And that's key. At least from my point of view, performance and user experience, that's basically the same. And also, very integration friendly. That's important as well, both for customization and scalability. It integrates seamlessly with third-party services and systems, be it search vendors, recommendation engines, CMSs, all that. And that's a really important point. It also gives the project a natural focus on UX and accessibility and the end user, because we have this front-end first approach, which gives us something to discuss around, something to talk about. And it's tangible, as Anton said. And it's really high performing. It's optimized for performance. It has fast page loads out of the box, gives smooth interactions, and it gives us all these things that you tend to spend too much hours on anyway. It gives us that out of the box, so we can focus on other things that's much more important, such as insight work, such as testing out ideas. And all of these enhances user satisfaction and reduces bounce rates, basically. The image on the right-hand side is of the out-of-the-box solution from commercetools. It's a furniture solution for B2C, and it's really, really good. Been working with digital commerce solutions for around 15 years and been around a couple of accelerators before, and this is hands down the best one yet. It's not the first time someone has kind of preached that this accelerator is the best. And it has been a lot of things, both in the UI and both in the code, that's been really bad from a lot of accelerators, but this has high level of quality in all ends. A little bit more about how we work and how we have worked with not only this project, but projects in total. We love using Figma for design work. It basically lets us work together simultaneously, collaboratively. It allows other stakeholders to give direct feedback into our designs and our design processes. It simplifies the design to development handoff, and developers get access to all the design specifications and can comment and collaborate with the designers in the same platform. So this is key. And also, we like to stay informed about the best practices and most effective practices in the e-commerce industry. This is very important for us because it's not only that the sites and the solutions that we produce will be aesthetically pleasing. Obviously, that's really important, but it has to convert. It has to be business focused as well. Baymard Institute, that's a Danish research company, basically a leader in the field of UX and e-commerce. They do research on e-commerce design and usability, and we use their guidelines to inform our decisions. We basically incorporated their guidelines, among other sources, into our own UX audit that we do on both our own sites and also other customers, potential customers and existing customer solutions and sites. And this helps us be effective in driving conversions and sales. And we've also done this on the site that we're going to show you later on. Buzzword alert. We really believe in the minimum viable approach, minimum viable product approach. It's not just a buzzword for us. We obviously really prioritize building a basic version of a product that solves the core problem for customers at first. And by coupling this approach with rapid prototyping, using tools like Figma, using pre-composed solutions such as Foundry, coupling it with our guidelines in our UX audits, it allows us to iterate quickly, adapting designs and creating really good solutions based on real user interactions and responses. So it's all good. It helps us do projects more effectively, but how does it help our clients? Because that kind of, it has something to say. We believe that this way of working expedites launches of new solutions. We will implement our very own best practice UX design on top of Foundry, as Anton said, and based on data and insights, this gets us far. We can get solutions out to the end user much faster than before. We can start experimenting out in the field and iterate faster than ever before. It creates better user experiences, faster time to market for our end customers, and more cost-effective solutions. Before summer, we did an experiment. We tried to work like this in an actual project. It was a pretty solid team that worked with this, but I'm going to talk mostly about this from a UX design perspective right now. We created something called VitalBeat. And some might say it's a kind of a generic brand. That's kind of the point as well. We actually created this as an incentive to kind of delve into the pharmacy industry a little bit more. We have had a lot of customers within that industry before, and it's an industry that we find interesting. But VitalBeat is our very own approach to the best practice e-commerce pharmacy solution. We've actually used ChatGPT just to get a headway on branding and profile, because this brand didn't have any profile manual that we could use. So we did that, and we used Figma for efficient MVP work. Starting off with a pretty short prompt, actually. Created a little bit like Boots, but it should feel more energetic, fresher, and youthful. It needs to be professional and serious. We know that this is banal, but it's fun as well. And it should be fun. We got this response with the logo, design system, colors, imagery, tone of voice even. But we see that UX designers are not out of a job yet, because VCAG contrast rules wasn't really taken into account. And that felt kind of good to be smarter than ChatGPT. And we see that working like this obviously won't replace us in the next 2 years at least. But this helped us create this little thing. We did all of those kind of guidelines. We put that into our library, and we created designs in Figma, based obviously on the Foundry launchpad. We stood on the shoulders of our very own research. We've done numerous UX audits on pharmacy sites that gave us a lot of recommendations and requirements that we cross-checked and double-checked solutions, so that we knew that our very own accelerator would be of the highest quality from the get-go, which gave us this fancy old thing. So it's the first ever prompt-based online pharmacy. It's designed in Figma, prompted by Columbus UX designers. I don't know if that's going to be a new tagline that we sell, Robin, I'm not sure. It's UX or design functionality, e-commerce solutions that are cross-references with numerous UX audits. It's a full desktop mobile design, clickable prototype, fully functional, spent 40 hours. I don't know if you guys have a relationship with how much or little that is, but it's really small amount of hours. It has everything, basically, from the checkout to the front page, and that's really good, a good method of working when we want to try out ideas. So it is possible to work more efficiently. Front-end plays a really big part in this, and Foundry can help us with this. It doesn't mean that we should do less UX and design, less insight work, less design work, but it can be said that it frees up time so that we can do even more of it. And this is the base for our demo. So let's have a look at VitalBeat. So this is obviously a project that we spent more than 40 hours on. It's a fully functional e-commerce site based on Foundry. We had a team consisting of a UX designer, project manager, back-end developers, front-end developers, and worked with this site a couple of months, testing out on internal users and tweaking as we went along. This is of the front page, as you can understand, which has a lot of modular blocks, which we can move and order as we want. It has a lot of different product entry points, and this is very easy to edit in the back office. So here we have product entries, which can be obviously editorial or automatically. We also have incorporated content into the site, which I will get back to later. But we see that this is obviously a very important thing for such a site, not only for SEO purposes, but also to create added value for the visitors. And we also have coupled the content with products so that we can recommend relevant products in the context of this theme, which is obviously very important. So here we have some lenses in a product detail page. It basically has every bit and bob that you'd expect from a product detail page. It has different levels of descriptions, related products, and relevant other products. And we also have functionality for we also have a menu where you can create a mega menu like you'd fit the purpose, and you go into different types of categories. Product list page has everything that you'd expect with filters and sorting mechanisms. It's a nice wish list functionality as well, and here we see that we want to sort. It's performant. It doesn't load the page again. It reloads the products in a really fast way. This site has a lot of products, as pharmacy industry often has a lot of different variants, and we can filter on the brands as well. The search is the original commercetools search. If we would see the need, we could easily integrate Algolia, for example, another search vendor, but in this demo we've used the internal. Here we can see that I'm putting in a zip code for checking the delivery times and costs. I'm adding this to the cart. And in the mini cart, I see that I get different recommendations. I want to continue shopping. I added this to the wish list. A little bit weird, maybe. So it basically has all these things that you'd expect from a finished e-commerce site, basically. We go into the mini cart and see a nice summary. You can enter promo codes and move into the full cart. We have upsell and cross-selling possibilities. I'm adding this to the cart in the cart, and it doesn't even reload, so it's very performant, as I said. And being happy with the cart, I'm going into the checkout. So a checkout is obviously often the theme for a lot of testing and trying, but we know that a checkout is most often built basically like this. And that's a little bit what I said about not reinventing the wheel numerous times. We know that this is a very performant way of doing the checkout, and it's a good way of doing it. So this is how we want to kind of use best practices into our solutions, so that we don't need to spend time on designing this over and over again. Selecting delivery option, going into the payment. You can try and copy this at home. It won't work, but it's validating the input fields and working really well. So we're happy with that. Just checking and going into the payment. That went well. Fairly happy about that. And getting a nice order confirmation page. So as you can see, it works from A to Z. It's obviously not integrated with an actual payment provider, but that wouldn't be very hard to do. And the integrations that already are there are very easy to kick off with. So that was basically it. It's not live on vitalbeat.com. We haven't bought the domain yet, but obviously it will happen. But yeah, the site is available on that URL at least. So that was it.
Awesome. If you just stay up here,
Yeah.
Evan, because now you have worked with this accelerator platform for quite some time. What is your favorite thing about it so far?
I guess the favorite thing about it is from a UX design perspective, which is of my field. I think that it kicked us off at a level which is much higher than I am used to working with accelerators. I mean, higher in the performance scale, in the best practice scale, and it basically gave us such a head start. So I guess that was the favorite thing. And also, I mean, you saw that we had some content on the demo. The ease of integration is really good, because that was content from Contentful, a headless CMS. That was integrated really quickly into the solution. And the seamless integration between products and content from two different systems, I guess that's composability in the best way. So that was really cool.
Nice. I remember when we started this project, and it was like, a week or a week and a half, and then we had the proof of concept up and running, and I was like, wow, this is actually kind of amazing, because we get all of these things just out of the box, and then we can build on top of that. And I really think that speaks to both the accelerator aspect, but also the composability, that we get a lot of things just handed out of the box. So we have those like Lego bricks basically, and we start building on top of that and be creative about it. And you showcase the things with ChatGPT, building all the foundation just to showcase how fast this actually is to get live.
Yeah. Normally, a customer of ours would have a profile manual, which was probably created not by ChatGPT, but it was just for the sake of showing how fast can we do this.
And also for the fun of it.
Oh
just
yeah,
to,
for sure.
to try it out, right, and build something within this industry.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Arvin. We'll get back with a lot of questions in
Thank
the panel as well. So. And that's why I'm very happy to have Normet with us today. Normet is not the regular B2C composable commerce player, as they are working within the mining industry. And we have Matthias and Pekka joining us here today. Pekka all the way from Lapland. That's quite a trip to come here and talk about a composable journey. So please join me up on stage here and take us through some of your thoughts and discussions and your journey on composable commerce. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Really good to be here. Great to be, and good morning, everybody. So, yeah, I'm not living in Lapland. I was just located there now on a working remotely basis, but yeah, came from there via Helsinki. So a few words about, and I'm Pekka, and then Matthias will talk after me about a bit more about our architecture. But first, one slide about Normet. So most likely you don't have a clue what Normet actually is. So Finnish company working in mining sector, and actually underground mining specifically, so not open pit mines. So our customers and our equipment and portfolio is sold towards, or offering is for underground mining companies. Typically, they are really big companies constructing these mining sites, and we are based in Iisalmi, Finland, but as you can see from the map, we are quite across the globe. So we need to be where our customers are. The portfolio or offering that we are selling is on the left-hand side. So what we actually do is that we have highly specialized equipment and technologies that we, for example, have simulators that we train our customers to use our machinery, so that you don't need to train with the actual equipment, you train with the simulators, and all like our portfolio is across different kinds of things, from nuts, really nuts and bolts, to non-physical services as well. So we started the journey 3.5 years back when I joined the company, and my mission from my boss at the time was that set up a digital sales channel, and then on the other hand as well, connect our equipment, get data from our equipment. So from there on, we started building the composable architecture that you will see on the next slide. So we basically started from nothing. Of course, we had the base systems available, and they are still there. Some of them have changed, but we have brought a lot of new components into the architecture as well. So Matthias, please.
Thank you. Gonna apologize for the busyness of the next slide. So this is pretty much the current application landscape we have today. And like Pekka mentioned, the journey started with the e-commerce. And at that point of time, Normet had pretty much only a website for as a digital channel towards our customers. So we needed to make a slight change on that. So we started the journey building what we call the Normet store, where we sell parts today. Looking at the lowest level box, we have some back-end systems, and most importantly, the ERP, in our case, D365. That is pretty custom depending on which country you are in. So one thing that took the decision towards a composable is that we needed something in between the store and the backend systems that would be aligning data, structuring it in the same way, and bringing it in and making sense to it. So in our case, commercetools then came into the picture. And then one could ask, this is maybe going a little bit away from this Foundry thing, so we decided to go with a custom web application as the storefront. We did consider using an existing storefront, something a little bit more just drag and drop-ish. However, we had the IoT part also in our back of our mind. And even though it sounds a little bit distant, that what does IoT has to do with the store, we knew that it's probably at some point going to be getting together. And for us to be ready and enabling us to create the Normet-specific custom solutions, we decided that, hey, let's go with a custom web application instead. This will most likely give us some good benefits in the future. And maybe notable also the data part. So we are a Microsoft Azure house. We have Azure as the integration layer in between. It's working together with Databricks. I'll be soon coming to that part. But it's pretty much the consolidator. So it fetches the data from the backend systems and pushes them into commercetools. And then within commercetools, we then kind of align it and mold it into something that we can work with with the Normet store. So we did this, and I think we were live with the first version in half a year. That's how short time it actually took for us to create a custom web application, to set up commercetools, having the integration, bringing in data to commercetools, and getting it up and running. And we had the first pilot customers within 9 months from starting the project. So I think that was a pretty nice start to the digital journey at Normet. What next? Well, while building the store, we also ran into some challenges on the .com side. This turned out to be quite an interesting opportunity for us, because previously we had, I think it was WordPress kind of site, which started to face some challenges when upgrading components for security reasons. So we revamped this, and we took the opportunity to also at the same time kind of brighten our vision on what are we actually going to be doing here. And this here is the custom web application once again coming into the picture. Because at this point we realized that, hey, now we have the actual opportunity to build this kind of totally seamless digital experience where the customer only needs to remember, go to normet.com. That's where everything is. So for that reason, we have the Normet account banner on top. So we have a normet.com open website. Then we have the login part, which will take you to the store, and then later on also to the portal. And at this point of time, we went full in on the headless part. We took Contentful as a CMS, tried it out. At that point of time, Normet sells a lot of equipment. We have quite a broad set of models that we sell. And at this point, we also realized when we were setting up the CMS that should we actually have a PIM as well? We didn't have anything like that. So we thought about it. We decided for the sake of simplicity, let's not do it right now. So we set up the normet.com based on Contentful. So Contentful feeding content data to normet.com. And then we started to have the IoT side pretty well. And in such a good shape that once we started to have more data, we realized that the old IoT platform we had couldn't sustain the amount of data. So we needed to revisit that topic as well. And that triggered the portal project, which also, again, became a custom web application, because the reason is that we want to have the user not understanding whether he is on normet.com, in the portal, in the store. Everything should be kind of working in the same way, with the same ideology, molding the services together. We're not quite yet there, but we're very close to having it like this. And maybe last but not least, also a kind of like a side project that stepped into the picture was another kind of, well, similar as the normet.com. So there was we had a service quotation tool in use within the company, and it was some sort of a partial custom, partially as a service application we had, and they decided to sunset it. So the team asked the IT that, hey, could you rebuild this on some other system? IT didn't have time. Well, we did. And at this point, we also noticed that, hey, this is the opportunity to squeeze in the PIM part. So nowadays, with this small side hustle, we also set up Akineo as a PIM. And hopefully, well, as you can see, we went all in on the composable here. So hopefully we can soon-ish start also combining the fairly isolated composable components today. So Contentful is not communicating with commercetools, which is not communicating with Akineo and so forth. But hopefully in the future, we're able to also reap these kind of benefits. And I see this being possible as the platforms themselves enables us to do these kind of things.
And maybe also worth mentioning is that what is important to our customers is that they have a fleet from our equipment, so they need to know the health level of the fleet, and of course, if we can recommend things, it's easier for the customer. So the vision is to support the customer so that the buying parts and the needed whatever they need from us is as easy as it can be for the customer, because they are in the mine 1 kilometer deep in the ground doing work. They want to, if it fails, they want to get the parts replaced fast, or whatever service guy there on site as fast as possible. So they need to have the easy access to our services. Of course, a lot of interaction still happens via phone or email, but slowly pushing more and more activity on the digital channels as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias and Pekka. So there's already a lot of questions to you guys, but I'll just before we get to the more formalized panel part, just to ask you, you mentioned the side hustle with Acneo and getting PIM up and running. We all know that can be quite a project as well. What are you looking at in the future for your setup, and what have you made possible by going all in on composability?
I think the next step for us is, and this is also part of the way we have been working so far. So we do it pretty much front end first, and on the front end side, we want to blur the borders between the three services we have today even more, and also at the same time leverage the different components we've already built. So we're trying to next up make sure that since we are collecting data, we know a lot about our customers. How can we propose more to them what to do next, and also at the same time provide an easy way to make the purchase immediately without having to make phone calls and quotes and here and there and everywhere. That's pretty much our next step. Making Normet digital services super easy to use.
Yeah,
low
so
threshold.
Reduce the friction and make it easy to collaborate with Normet.
Correct.
Basically. Perfect.
And I would add on that as well that we don't have any big projects at the moment. So the idea is to have quite small compact projects, whatever they're, from 2 to 3 months, and small deliverables, something new, incrementally, not like plan 3 months, develop or build 8 months, then Q&A, and maybe after a year we get something new. No, every quarter something new. If it's small, but then it's new, out there, we can test it.
Is that something that has come from working with like the composable approach?
Yeah,
So a shift in mindset?
I think so. Yeah, definitely it's not easy. It's probably a bit complex to manage, but then it's the only way to go once we have the data in the back-end systems, and that needs to be integrated there as well. So we can't avoid the complexity, but then we can split it into a manageable projects with a composable better.
And I expect that has been something that has been like a positive thing from the rest of the organization to see things with a faster pace.
I would say that probably the most positive feedback has been that they have seen that we can deliver quite fast. So, last week I made a short presentation to my boss that what we have accomplished this year. So it was actually quite amazing on the bullet points how many there were. Of course, many of them are big, not big things. They are quite small, but they are deliverables to our end customers.
That's great. And I know there's other questions that we can dive into in the panel. So thank you for this elaboration. I think we'll just use 2-3 minutes just to get the panel prepared and catch up on the questions, and then we'll start off with the panel session of this morning. Good.
Blocking your face.
So, Thank you so much, all of you, for adding to this presentation and sharing a bit of your knowledge. That is very insightful. One of the first questions that came in was that we promised this morning that we would start the day talking with less buzzwords and demystifying and trying to basically dumb it down, pardon my French. So, Anton, can you just give us the quick rundown, headless, composable, marker lines, so the basic concepts of what is it that we're talking about, what is the difference?
Oh, here we go again. So,
Yeah.
So basically, headless is sort of a first step from the monolithic platform where we divide the front end from the back end. This allows customers to play with front end, do different things there without affecting the back end. However, that also has some limitations as the back end is still sort of monolithic, and making any changes there takes a bit of time and effort. And when we move to a more composable solution, which is lots of different things that are completely decoupled. So the CMS, the engine, the search, and you can tweak and change everything you want. It's basically like if you had a basic bicycle and then you have a professional bicycle. And the usual difference between professional bicycles is you can tweak every single thing, small things to your liking. This is a bit of how it is with Mach. And the Mach is, of course, the standards, how things should be built and how they should interact with each other, because the complexity of decoupled systems is usually bigger, so it requires some standards of how to do this right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to follow the trail of thought here. As part of your presentation, Anton, you also mentioned a bit about accelerators and reducing implementation risk, and there's a lot of like pre-validated components, and you have the integration patterns and all of these things. Can you just elaborate a bit on that and share some additional input to how that is and how it's applied throughout real world usage?
Yes, so at my work I mainly focus on the accelerators, and the way they are built is, again, using the best experiences of the system integrator. And there's a lot of things that can be standardized and simplified there. And some people might say, well, you've built a thing and becomes sort of a Mac monolith or something like this, that you build another monolith again. But this is completely not true, because you're building even the systems that SIs build themselves, meaning some of the connecting tissue between the different integrations, are built in a microservices approach where every microservice is separated, and so you can swap these things and these modules to tailor to a specific use of the customer. And for the customers, because this is all is built for customers, the idea is that they just need to make fewer decisions. Basically, when you start with composable, the amount of decisions is a mountain. So you also need to understand a lot of different things, how they interact with each other, how they affect each other. With Accelerator, just a lot of decisions are taken away, these starting decisions. And then, as Ulrich mentioned, you can focus on the better, easier part, meaning how to tweak the interaction with the customer and the experience of the customer, rather than figuring out the piping of the building.
That's actually a perfect segue, because I can see not questions or anything irrelevant input, but of course there's the idea and notion of why did we bring in Normet, non-accelerator commerce tools customer to this session? And I think there's a lot of reason for that. One of them is, of course, that you have tried part of the journey of not choosing an accelerator. You have you've stood with the choice of going the accelerator route and tapping into the things that Anton is mentioning, and also with the need of the business. So maybe you could share just a couple of thoughts and some of the choices you have made that made you go with the customized solution rather than the accelerated solution.
Well, to be also fair, 3 years back when we started, the whole accelerator scene was completely different, and Foundry was not there. So we haven't even evaluated it. So it might look different today if we would start from scratch. But I don't know, Matthias, anything to add?
Well, also adding that when we chose commercetools, they only had the B2C option, and we wanted to do B2B. So we also did some tweaks there. But we trusted commercetools at the time that they are going to go towards B2B, and we can be there to design it together, and that's pretty much how it went. And like Pekka mentioned, the scene for ready-made storefronts were quite limited at the time. Plus, then, like I mentioned, we had this back thought about having more complex requirements, and then always is the question: will any kind of configurable platform be ready for these kind of requirements?
I think that's actually a very valid question, maybe for both you, Anton, and Øyvind. So these complex demands from the business and the architecture that businesses are looking into, saying we have so many systems in place, is it even possible for us to go with an accelerator? Or is it too pre-built, pre-configured? Do we need to go through a lot of hoops to make it actually happen and have that value from the platform?
So I would say that usually it starts with analyzing what is the gap between what is already there, which is the accelerator, and what the customer needs. If the gap is too big, of course it's just better to build a custom solution. If the gap is fairly narrow, then it makes sense. And also with accelerators, they are usually built as Øyvind uses the atomic design approach. So a lot of them, although they look big, but they consist of a lot of small things. So sometimes, even though you won't use the full solution, you can still use some parts of it that make sense. So you sort of can apply atomic design thinking approach to building the accelerators.
Did you experience any limitations or things that where you banged your head into the wall working with the accelerator?
I think if I were to mention one thing, we knew that the industry that we focused on in the Vital Beat work, we knew that content will have its place, and we knew that we had to incorporate a seamless coupling between products and content. The commercetools, the Foundry basis has a possibility to work with content, but it had some limitations into what we saw that our needs were. So we kind of made that gap analysis in the start there, where we saw that, okay, if we want to do this and also give the editors the experience that they need, because that's an important aspect as well, we want to look at different CMSs to integrate. And that gave us the experience that we really liked to see, how quick and easy it was to integrate Contentful, which is a headless CMS that you obviously work with as well, which kind of gave this two-way coupling between products and content. So I guess what you say about doing this gap analysis to check, okay, the customer needs or the business needs, what does it give us? What do we need to add on? To do that in the start is really important, because you can possibly have it all, but then you're very lucky, I guess. You need to see where you need to add.
By the way, comparing to the VitalBeat demo, I would say that our flow is, well, not exactly the same, but really, really similar. So it might be that today, the project that if we would need to build the Normet store again, it would be quite fast with the accelerators. I don't know, but this is just my guess, seeing the demo.
Interesting. And also interesting that we chose both the Contentful for the accelerator. You chose Contentful as well at Normet as the CMS. Could you maybe just share some thoughts regarding having Contentful as the CMS part of this, and how that connects to commercetools and how it works in the aspect of composability?
Maybe on the decision part, we did some thinking, like everyone else is doing. And did we become any smarter? I don't know. But what we did realize at the time was that some differences between the CMSs are how well they work together with PIM solutions, for example. So can you have a PIM working with the product data that then kind of automatically just pops up in the CMS tool as well, and then you can then you don't have to work with two different tools. You can have the product team working with the product information, which is then going to the marketing team who handles the .com. So at that point of time, we did realize that, for example, Contentful had these kind of opportunities, plugins. And I think that was pretty much one of the things that leaned towards Contentful.
And
but also honestly, we have still a lot to do. So yeah, the vision is really seamless experience for the end customer. We are midway there. We need to do a lot more work to integrate the services. They are still a bit too separate, but working towards that.
Did you, from your drawing, there was not like a integration layer or business orchestration layer, or you had some icons showcasing the data model or anything? Do you use some kind of integration service to make sure that things work in a more seamless way?
Really not.
Really?
Yes, there is some in small pieces, but I would say that majority of our integration is in the data layer, and then APIs, loosely coupled services together.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, CDN is in between, but not really anything super fancy.
So like the old school way of approaching implementation and integrations.
Point to point.
Point to point. Yeah, you said it. So even though you are halfway there, as you say, Pekka, one of the questions or discussions we often have with our customers is that going for this full composability is a lot of different vendors coming into play, and we could see from your schematics you have commercetools, you have Contentful, you have everything from Eloqua, you have Databricks, and all of these different vendors that you're dealing with, not on a daily basis, of course. But how are you working with your vendors in this setup, and how are you managing like the plethora of vendors in the composable realm?
I think that's a leading question, because the answer is that we need to have a good reliable partners, Columbus being one. But it is probably a bit of a hassle to have that complex set of things in the palette, but if you trust the composable promise, then you need to manage that complexity anyway. And if you build a monolith, it might be easier for the business, but then you end up with a monolith that probably is hard to maintain. So which way you choose? Do you choose the complexity on managing the project and getting more agile deliverables or outcomes, or then do you take the easy way in the project and then you end up with a solution that's hard to change? That's it.
Yeah. And one of the reason I bring this up is because I had a meeting yesterday with a customer who was like, this traditional best of suite, best of breed approach, and having the flexibility of composable and all the benefits that entails, but also having like a suite with a more composable approach where we can just pick the different services that one single provider is bringing into play. So why should we choose not to go with a single provider versus having all the different vendors in play? And you're even not using the integration layer approach currently. So you're still doing the point-to-point integrations for bringing in new vendors and new platforms. So speaking just from a business perspective, what would be some of the considerations you have from going full composable and not choosing to have a more suite-based approach? If you turn or dial back 3.5 years or 4 years in time?
Maybe we can answer this together. But I mean, with Pekka, we have the same thought around software development, microservices. That's the way to go, because if you have a monolith, and let's go back to the multi-vendor part. Having a monolith and having multi-vendor, that's absolutely horrible. With composable, it's less horrible. Because what you can do is, of course, you can within a component, let's pick commercetools. You can still have 2 vendors working within commercetools. But what is maybe a more practical way to do is that if you need multi-vendors, you can very much isolate them in one sandbox. Like this vendor works in commercetools, this vendor works in Akineo, this vendor works in Contentful. Of course, when these systems need to communicate in between each other, you're still going to be having the multi-vendor coordination part, which is, as mentioned, horrible. But at least they are isolated and they will most likely not break the other systems. They can kind of break their own thing.
I could add on that as well that in my view, composable is partly also risk management for companies. Of course, there is a lot of management needed, but I think then changing vendors or suppliers in the puzzle is easier than with the monolith, because then we are stuck with the one solution that you have chosen, and it's really hard to change it. With the smaller pieces, they are much more replaceable as well. So in that sense, definitely risk management for us. Also thinking about the composable, in my view, B2B is even backbone systems that need to be integrated into the front end as well. So hence composable is typically easier.
And that's, I believe, why you love working with composability, Anton, at commercetools. Could you just maybe add some words on the general transition going from working with a monolith provider and to working with guys like you on a more composable, taking the composable journey basically also requires some changes in the organization and ways of working. So could you share some thoughts on that transition and what is needed?
Yeah, so usually there are two different ways you can take, the Big Bang approach and the Strangler approach. So Big Bang is you just throw everything away and build a new system, which is on one hand, yes, risky because lots of things can go wrong, but also you push sort of the organization to change. There's no way they have to change. So it applies also, like on a change management perspective, more pressure on an organization. There's also a strangler approach where you take away system by system and give the organization time to absorb the change. But this also sometimes can drag for a very long time, and as time goes, the technical debt is building by itself. So there's never an ideal approach that every company needs to decide for themselves. I am, of course, it's not written anywhere, but I'm thinking of a third approach with accelerator, of course, where you sort of make the first strong push, sort of small big bang with accelerator, meaning that you push to the MVP fairly quickly just to have the basic things working. And then as time goes by, you can add new things. So a sort of approach in between that I'm thinking that could be done, but of course, just my thinking.
No, but if I could add to that, because we see that, as I said earlier, we see that we spend less time now in these types of projects on creating product list pages from their scratch. We tend to spend our time on advising on how businesses should manage all their systems. And it goes into a little bit what you said about kind of managing all these systems. How do you kind of cope with having a contentful, and you cope with having a PIM system, and you have the ERP system, and what's where? And we kind of do a lot of user journey mapping, both external and internal users. Do service blueprinting, trying to see, okay, if we implement a new PIM, how does that kind of affect the people working in the company? And if we implement commercetools as an e-commerce platform, how will the ways of working change? So instead of spending time on advising on how a front page should look, we kind of focus on the people and the work that the people do in the organizations. And that's I don't know if that's because of working in a composable approach, or if it's just us evolving. I'm not sure, but it's a trend. That's at least I see.
Yeah, personally, I feel it's been like a gradual shift throughout the last couple of 3, 4, 5 years, that the notion regarding user experience has become something that is more broad. User experience 5 or 10 years ago was mostly the design aspect of things, and we want people to put something in their cart and make a fast checkout. And now user experience is more from like the inside out perspective, and we need to create the best user experience for our own organization and for the people working within. So we need to build the architecture supporting the user experience, not just for the end customer, but for everybody working with our different systems. I think that's hugely important, both from like an architectural perspective, business perspective, and also for the end customer perspective.
Yeah,
so that's very valid input. Speaking of the UX and the design and the architecture at Normet Group, how are you utilizing that when putting together your schematics for your systems landscape? Are you breaking down silos inside the company, or are you still working?
We're eliminating Excel sheets. We're still at that point.
Well, hopefully also breaking a bit of the silence. Maybe an example. I think in some local Normet companies, they are now more comfortable using the store or the e-commerce for checking the availabilities and prices from the store. Internal users checking from the store rather than using the ERP, because it's so much easier. So yeah, and typically the backbone systems are not service engineered from the user perspective. It's more like engineering system, use it as it is. So now they are using our digital tools, or the customer-facing digital tools, for internal purposes as well. And this is by accident, not by design.
Oh, that's interesting.
And also maybe slightly adding to, you asked why did we choose Contentful, why did we choose commercetools, why did we choose Akineo? One thing was, of course, I mean, if we choose a system, a platform like this, which comes with a UI, the UI needs to be functional and have a good user experience. I mean, it's going to be a tool that hopefully somebody will be using for tens of years. So it needs to be good. It can't be bad. So that was, of course, one thing we considered much when looking at different options.
I actually think that's quite interesting. Also, like the dialogues I've been having for the past year or so is based on like the generational shift within companies. So a lot of companies is getting they're lowering the age of the people that they're getting, and people who are used to shopping on Zalando and other big platforms. And when they come into a company working with heavy machinery, and it's like, oh, you just need to log into the ERP to place an order for some spare parts, and they're just like lights out in their eyes. And then we have conversations with customers say, can we build something on top of this to make it easier to service our own people and the like what you're experiencing from Normet Group as well?
I think people, even though they're at work or at home buying sofas, they have the same expectancy of good UX. I mean, why should a system that you're using buying spare parts internally in a company be worse off than a retail store? Basically, you have the same expectancy, so that's interesting.
And why is that? What do you hear from your both your colleagues and your end customers? Is it something that they just like accept as that's just the way it is and will change it gradually, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a slow change, at least on the Normet industry, but it's definitely happening. But there's still a lot of people who have like 30, 40 years of experience on the mining, and they barely know how to use email. But of course, new people are coming in, and their expectation is completely different.
They're digital natives.
Yeah.
They've grown up with good systems, so they don't tolerate bad systems.
No. So it's basically a different kind of business decision, because it's not based primarily on the business case of generating more revenue or more turnover in spare parts, but it's also part of the ask of making it easier and more frictionless, basically.
Yeah.
And just to take a slight deep dive into that, what would you see was some of the main considerations in terms of building the business case of investing in composability when you started that journey, if you can remember?
Yeah, 3.5 years back. If I wasn't prepared on this question at all. I should have checked some of the data. I think the business case was, back in the time when we were making the decision, we had two options: composable with the commercetools, or the more traditional way with a e-com monolith. And if I remember correctly, the business cases or the cost was quite similar on both. Composable was a bit more expensive, but then we just analyzed internally that is it worth it, and we took the risk. It was a risk at the time because for example, in commercetools there was basically not much or anything on the B2B side. We were just betting on commercetools to start or develop the B2B features in the future, and yeah, we have been now utilizing those as well. So the difference was not huge, but it was a slightly more expensive. Of course, building the custom front was more expensive. That we knew.
Would you have made any different decision based on what you know now?
Probably many, but they are all small ones. Not any major decisions I wouldn't change. But I have said earlier that we make mistakes on a weekly basis, but that's the plan. If they are small, We can learn from those. So probably we would do some small changes or change the order or the priorities and so forth, but nothing dramatic. Matthias.
No, I agree. Most of the changes potentially would be on the rollout and operational side that we would do differently, take a different approach. But what we built is really good, and it's actually very simple as well. So we didn't overdo it. It's a MVP approach, like we've been talking about here.
Continuous MVP approach.
Yes.
So what would be, if you were to single out one thing, or you can single out one thing each, what would be the best decision that you made throughout this this process and this journey that you have been on?
I regret nothing. It's either we've been super lucky with everything, or then it might be skills involved.
I don't know. Yeah, or both.
Or both in combination.
I think the decision that we made 3.5 years back was the correct one, because there hasn't been any major failures. So all those small mistakes, but they are easy to correct if we do some small thing in a project, and that's it. So overall, we are quite satisfied. Of course, it's a lot of work, but what isn't?
Oh, I was just thinking it could be that you were standing at like crossways and say we needed to make this very tough decision at a point in time, and we took the decision, we stood by it, and it paid off.
Well, that's kind of easy for me to say that it was the decision to go with the composable architecture overall, because that was the first decision that we made. All the other decisions after that, they have been way easier.
Mm.
But it was like, do we do the traditional route? Maybe a bit less risky, but then we end up with a similar solution that everybody in the industry, it's hard to do any differentiation, or how do we manage the changes in the future? And then we just agreed that let's take the risk and go with a bit different, bit more modern approach. And that was probably the best decision we made.
Mm. Cool. And speaking of the future, and that's mostly a question for you, Anton, but I would like the other of you to tip in as well. What do you see is in store for the future of composability and composable commerce? What's to come?
So I'm of course biased with my focus on pre-composable, but I do think that, as gentlemen mentioned, that managing complexity will be easier. So complexity will not go away; it will stay, but the management of it by building accelerators, building different extensions, as we see, we are thinking of building them. Partners are building them, both system integrators and vendors. So and there's a lot of thinking internally. How do we simplify the buying process? How do we simplify every small step that is taken by a customer to make it easier with them? So I think in the future, the complexity, the management of complexity should be easier. That's, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what do you see in terms of like technical functionality? Everybody's talking about AI, so let's park that for a moment. What can we expect from the future? Where will we see the next,
I think our product team would shoot me after the recording, but mainly, expanding the systems and solutions that we already have, focusing on the better extensibility, trying to add more nines to the uptime as much as we can. And of course, AI, we see that AI can be now applied to things that would usually require a lot of manual work. It's like a bit of free labor. So there are different ways, and one of the partners experimented with modifying the merchant center into a ChatGPT style experience where you don't need to click through and look for your orders and search for orders. You just type, I need this order for that specific product to be changed, and it will change. It's still a beta, so we are not trusting it to do all the changes in the system. But yeah, we're definitely trying a lot of different applications of AI, but nothing specifically for the commerce engine that is, we found that is like, it doesn't write content. Like for content systems, it's a bit easier. It writes content or helps you write the content. We haven't found yet a very secure and stable solution with AI, but we are on the search, of course.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Normet Group and AI, just to go like, now we're taking that route and everybody's talking about AI. Now we're talking about composability and a bit of AI. What's in store for you?
Well, yeah.
We have AI in use. We use DeepL for translations. Of course, being a tech company, it does come with some challenges translating. I mean, easy sentences.
$100 million rows of data flowing in from our connected equipment on a daily basis. So there's a lot of incoming data from the fleet. Then the parts data that we sell, it's way too engineering driven. So that would need to be transformed into a more human readable forms. So there's a lot of these small opportunities for AI to be, and generative AI to be used, but we are exploring it at the moment. There's a couple of projects running in the background, and if they go okay, then we might publish something on the front end as well.
And that's still with the like the perspective on things that smaller projects, three months, 6 months time, and get things out there and see them live, basically.
Correct.
Yeah, perfect. I think I been through most of the questions from the chats and from what I had from my notes throughout the session. I just want, before we finish off the session, also in respect of time, to ask in the audience here if there's any questions you would like to ask for the panel. No questions. Then I think I just want to finish off by saying thank you so much for participating here, also for flying in from both Lapland, Helsinki, all the way around to get here. Thank you so much for coming and sharing part of your story, Normet, and for Øyvind joining from Oslo as well, Anton coming here, and the commercetools team being here as well. Thank you so much for your participation. It was a blast having you here, and thank you for everyone here and also everyone watching back at home or at the offices. It was a joy. Thank you.
Thank you.